Hi guys, welcome back. Today we have Jacob Broyles, an expert automation engineer as well as an entrepreneur and cloud architect. He loved to write automation script as well as running and web hosting services especially for small businesses. And today we are looking to learn like how to make some exciting things for others like small businesses and how to give different services and set up on that. So hi Jacob, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and giving your time to sharing all things. So as we start, when you have shared your LinkedIn, we went through your different ideas and the perspective. But I really get stuck to one thing which you mentioned like success is not the key to happiness, but happiness is the key to success. Have definitely taken this from your LinkedIn, but can you explain this like from your perspective, like how you think this quote and how it's fit in your life?
Yeah, so this is a quote by a German philosopher, Albert Schweitzer. And to me, this quote is telling you don't do things just to be successful, but do things that you genuinely enjoy doing. Especially going into the business field, it's important to enjoy the business you're in because there's so much work that needs to be done to get your business off the ground. And if it's something that you don't enjoy, it's going to be a lot harder to find that motivation.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. But sometimes it is not that easy for everyone to find something like how they enjoy it or how they work out. Do you think that can be a case like every time people don't find like if they enjoy it, something does that is always a doing that is always like a businessable thing, or you can always do a business on it?
I think that you can turn any passion into a business. Sometimes it can be a challenge to find that passion, and there isn't really one course that you can take to find out what your passion is. It really is something that an individual has to find on their own.
Okay. So it is like they have to be a bit creative on their end to, bring that thing into a business sense. Something like that we have to do it.
Absolutely. Business is built on innovation. So bring the creativity to the table, and you'll have a much larger chance of success with it.
Definitely, that totally makes sense. So as I went through, like, you are also running your own business, which we say as Hostimus. So first, why this particular name? Like this name is really beautiful and it gives some sense, but still how you concluded to this name.
So I didn't exactly pick this name. I acquired Hostimus as a template website being sold on a business brokerage site, flippa.com.
Okay.
And this was just a domain that happened to be assigned to it. So all I really did was modify the website's UI to fit my style, my personal brand, and I just went from there.
So it is something like, you got this name in the template, but then you liked it and you continue to that, right?
Yeah.
And as we went through more into the hostimers and your business or something like that, we really see like you provide too many good services to the small businesses like hosting or VPN and everything on that. So first of all, why you have chosen this particular business? Because there are some good players are there, and like how you will manage, describe like how you are thinking about this particular business before choosing.
So I have a bachelor's degree in cloud computing, and Hostimus was the first business I was looking to acquire. And since I already had the background in cloud, I felt like it was a safe bet to go with.
So does like frankly like being a architect or something like that. So do you need to provide all your technical skills also to manage this business?
I certainly spend a fair amount of time working on the technical aspect. I tend to split my time half and half. The first half is technical, and the second half I try and focus on the bigger picture. And this can be like focusing on timelines, planning future value streams, stuff like that.
That really make, a time management is also very critical when someone is doing a business, and this we can, get from this particular sense around or something like that. So
Yeah.
going into this particular sense, like hosting beginners, because there are some good alternatives out there, which are, there are some players which are from the very long time available or something like that. So still, because this is something you created from your passion, you have your own, learning and that all thing. So does, like, what exactly is the USP you keep in front of your audience, and what is the business model which maybe, a differentiate for the end user in this?
So, for our business, we really want to offer all the support we can for small businesses and startups. So, we continuously strive to cut costs so we can lower the prices of our services. A lot of other hosting companies look to cut costs so they can increase their profit margins, but we are looking to attract clients based on our low prices and how, when a client comes to us, we're in it together, and I only want my business to profit when other businesses profit.
Right. So, like, you try to keep the lowest price with the best services, so that the so the small businesses and the startup do not get any, issue, or like they are happy to continue for a longer time, right?
Exactly.
So, in this particular sense of whole management, would you need any in like outsourced team or in-house team, or you yourself manage how it all being done it up?
So I have a primary in-house team, but occasionally assignments fall outside of our skill set. And in these cases, it's a lot easier for us to hire a short-term contractor for the assignment instead of onboarding a whole new full-time team member.
So, does you like, for you might have a different team set for different things, like, or maybe you are yourself holding those hats, like marketing, or this technical or support. So you have all the three different segment in this, or how you manage these three set together in it?
So we our primary team is a team of web developers, and occasionally we have a project that's kind of outside of our reach, like it's in the artificial intelligence field, for example, and none of our developers or myself have experience with artificial intelligence. And in order to have a functioning script or a functioning product, we need to make sure that they're developed by experts.
Okay. So in that sense, like for outsourcing particular website or particular thing or something like that, so just getting a sense about, because there are couple of listeners who are trying to, start the outsourcing setup. They have the expertise and they are looking to, work around. So as an end client, what are some key facts you check one when you are on any platform or maybe on LinkedIn or something, and you try to hire? What are some key facts are there in front of your mind which give you or help you to take a decision like this, outsourcer or this freelancer is good for this particular tech or not?
Yeah, so I make sure that whenever I'm hiring, I have at least some knowledge about the topic I'm hiring for, like before I go into an interview. So this way I can ask some technical questions to gauge if they really know what they're talking about or if they're just trying to get a free job pretty much.
Right. So, practically the knowledge testing is very critical, and you always do that before moving into a final decision on the set, right?
Yeah, it's basically I'll ask a technical question, and if they can't answer like a fundamental question about what I'm hiring for, then they're probably not the right fit.
Right. And does the past work affect, like, because once the past work here is not verified, so how you decide anything on the past work detail which you get from the developer, because many developers are providing with the, say, a set of data which may be right or wrong or something like that. So how you take that call?
So every developer operates differently, and I try not to manage them too closely when they're doing their work. I more try and give them the freedom to take their own path with the assignments. And they'll usually take the path that they're most comfortable with, and then we end up with the best final result.
So like giving them a freedom, like they can understand and they can manage the situation from their side and work it out, right?
Yeah.
That make more sense. So that is really good to know, like because there are a couple of listeners who are more into this thing, so they can understand. So there are like from for our listener perspective, if I want to say like if there are some startups or small businesses who are looking to start their own website or something like that, and because you are actually into this business of hosting or this or setup, so what do you suggest or how they can make their website more secure, because right now security has been more concern and the all hosting and everything in technical. So how you persuade this security thing or what tips you want to give to our listeners on that?
So there will always be some things that can be done to increase the security of a website, such as DDoS protection or like proper encryption. But the biggest liability for any business is the employees themselves. You need to make sure that you set security standards and ensure that all of your employees are educated in basic cybersecurity. And in particular, phishing attacks are the cause of 70% of data breaches. And this is where a cyber criminal sends an email pretending to be a legitimate service and hopes that you either download something or enter sensitive information like passwords.
Right.
So, yeah, you need to really make sure that your employees are aware that these attacks are out there. And it's also an excellent best practice to use multi-factor authentication. So then, if a password does get compromised, the attacker still won't be able to get into the system.
Okay, so it is morely like we have to educate our team and work on the fact like we have to take some basic precautions. That would be more than enough for now in the case of helping us out on security, right?
Yes, definitely would say that your team is always your biggest liability simply because we're human. So, of course, they're not trying to harm the company in any way, but without the proper training or the proper knowledge, it can certainly be a risk.
Definitely, definitely. So, because you have chosen this hosting thing and things are because you have the technicality of cloud architect and you have chosen this particular setup and scenario to run as a business. But if someone want to start this hosting thing and someone see like okay there are certain set of good skills of his he can use or something like that. So how you give them like any blueprint or any setup to start their own business from scratch to this, like what all thing they have to take and what all measures they should keep around in this?
Yeah, so one of the most important aspects of a hosting business is the underlying infrastructure. So, for my business, I use a cloud infrastructure. And to me, I feel like this is the best move for anyone who wants to get into the field, simply because cloud computing has been on the rise for a while, and it's certainly the future when it comes to networks. And this is compared to buying servers yourselves, and that just costs a ton of money, and then you have to maintain the servers, and there's a much higher overhead. So definitely go with cloud computing. And you don't even have to do it yourself. You can outsource it on platforms like Upwork. You can hire a cloud architect and they'll handle it for you.
So in this particular cloud computing setup, like all the security measures and all the setup of, because the servers are not managed by us, they are managed by the cloud or something like that. So all the security measures at least at the level 1 are managed by the cloud services themselves, or we have to take care of everything in that sense.
So it depends on what package you go with. I use Amazon Web Services, and they have an EC2 instance, which is basically it gives us full control over the server. So we have to work to secure the ports and some of the more technical network aspects of it, but we don't have to secure the physical aspect of it. That is stored in an Amazon data center, and they have their own security for that.
Definitely. So, coming on the other aspects of the business, like technicality is really important and doing it out. But other senses like marketing and reaching to the right audience and bringing that sense out. So, like, are you focusing to any specific reason of audience, or like, are you doing a global advertisement and getting to your target audience? How you are managing right now the marketing aspect?
So, right now we're targeting just the United States. And I'd suggest that anyone starting a business starts small with who they're marketing towards. You can always make your services larger in the future, but you need to make sure you have a solid foundation first. And especially with data protection regulations in different countries, things can become very complicated if you go right to international.
Okay, so we have to first work from region to region, and we have to take care about all the laws and everything, so that we are standardized with that data protection as well as security aspect on that, right?
Exactly. Yep.
That is important. So that was really good to know about your all this business and how to manage and that all thing. But if we go to your expertise, like the automation with the thing which you love the most, or the thing you want to do is something like that. So how, like, if someone also, because you have done your degree in cloud architect, and and you might be using some great languages or setup on it. But if someone want to start that particular automation thing, and he want to learn, like, what all thing he has to do and how he has to do, so from where he start, and like which all tools and languages or something are there which will be helpful in this setup?
So, for our business, automation is a huge part of it. In order to be competitive with the industry leaders, we have to cut our costs primarily using automation. So, if someone wanted to get into automation and do the development themselves, I would suggest they develop their own foundation in Python. And you can do this just by going on a LinkedIn Learning or Udemy to get an online course. And there's always the option of outsourcing your automation as well if you don't want to do it yourself. But if you're planning on leading a team in automation, I'd still say getting a foundation in Python and learning how these scripts flow is important so you can effectively guide your automation engineers.
Definitely. So practically automation is something which definitely help you to cut down the cost, make the thing like work smooth, and you don't need to worry about that particular thing, and the reports and everything will get regenerated and all these things happen, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in your case, like, because you have been in this field for a long time or something like that, so can you just showcase some examples, some use case scenarios, like this way the thing was earlier manual and this has been converted into automation from your side with the skill set and things around?
Yeah, so something that we've been working on has been a script that it basically automatically analyzes different websites and the quality of their UI. And if the UI is not very good, it'll figure out the owner of that website and then email them about our web development services. So this allows us to basically target people who need web development services and basically market our services.
Okay, but those people are not the people who are actually hosting on your website. Those are general.
No, those
Okay. Yeah. No, that is good. That is a good skill you are trying out. Like, you're figuring out the pain point, and then you are reaching them to work it out on the solution in that set. So, moving ahead, I would really like to congratulate. Like, I actually saw in your LinkedIn post, like, you have been just, you have joined a master's program. So, can you explain a bit more, like, how that journey is going to be in the future? Like, how excited you are, and what all things you are going to learn and target into the same?
Yeah, so I've just been accepted into a master's in management and leadership. And this is just to improve my skills of managing my team. I was at a functional training a few weeks ago, and there was an executive who gave a presentation, and he said that you manage objects, but you lead people.
Right.
And right when I heard that, I completely restructured how I was managing my team. So I realized like you can't make the path for your employees because just because it's how you would do it, it doesn't mean it's the best way for them since they're the ones developing it. So that's when I really started opening up and giving them that freedom to decide for themselves.
Like designs the creative way to work around and set up everything on it.
Exactly.
Right, right, right. No, that is a good thing you thought about, and it is good. Like you are, going for the learnings more, and this shows like people should not stop learning. There is no age like you have to stop and you just need to work or something like that. If you get a chance and opportunity, you should always goes around and work on it. That is really great. So a couple of people like in our group or something when they went through all your all the different your LinkedIn profile and your website or something like that, they came across VPN. Now this VPN is actually, it sound very easy, but it is not that easy for average listener or average people to do it out. So how exactly this VPN work, and like how can we this sure for the security, because you are more into that, so you may guide some technicality and some way to our listeners on it.
Yeah, so VPN works by encrypting your network connection, and it allows you to create a secure tunnel through the internet. So VPN tunnels can be used to securely access private networks or file systems, and it just gives you another level of security through your backend.
So people are actually using VPN to access different locations or showcasing themselves as a different location accessor, right?
Absolutely. So, a great use case for this is if you run a business with remote employees and you want to make sure that they have a secure connection if they're transferring files, then a VPN tunnel would be a prime option for you.
Okay, that totally makes sense. And like you might be aware about these particular thing like the ENS domain services which is coming around. Okay. Uh, there were a set of excitement or something about that in the Web3 world, but still, it is not that much easy and clear for end user to understand, like how to open those web domains, and does it going to be, work in the a normal scenario where we are using right now all other domains. So, like, what are your thoughts about those ENS or like dot ETH or these type of domain services which is coming around?
So, right now, Web3 seems to be the upcoming domain of the web. Um, and but I'd tell people to be cautious if they're building a business on Web3. I've no issues with these services themselves, but the infrastructure is built on blockchain technologies, which are known for data permanence. So you can run into issues with this when you're trying to take your business internationally. I mentioned some data regulations earlier, and it becomes very difficult to be compliant with these data regulations, in particular, Europe's GDPR. So, Europe's GDPR requires you to delete customer data when they request it or when it's no longer needed. And
Right.
with blockchain and its permanence, you cannot delete this data, which subjects you to fines of up to $20 million.
Oh, that is a big high fine.
Yeah.
In that. So those are certain rules and regulation which we need to manage and which are not easily to manage in Web3 world and setup right now. Right?
Right.
In that sense, it goes on. But that is a good thing. Like you, whatever business you do, you have to take it from that aspect of, the government and legality. So it will be easy to manage and do for a long term. And that aspect we can keep around in sun.
Yeah.
And uh, also, like, moving ahead, we can see, like, there are some, I don't know, like it's a professional business or it's just like a habitual what people are doing, but they are holding some good names in the domain for a very long time, and then when the time come, they actually sell it at a higher price. Like, so is it so how you see this particular approach? Like, is it like a good way of doing a business, or it is like people who are doing this, are they professionals and they are really doing it with some automation script and right finding the name and storing, how this particular business is working around of domain name, storing and selling at high price?
So this certainly can be a lucrative business, but it brings into questions the ethics of it. So, for instance, if there's a business that has done a whole bunch of work getting set up, they've got copyrights, they've registered their business name with their city or their government, but they can't get their domain name because it's too expensive and held at an inflated price, then the business is forced to go through all their documents again, basically start from scratch, and just because someone was holding it at an inflated price. And I actually experienced this the other day. I was working with a partner company and I was trying to get a certain domain. And I reached out to the domain seller and they said they'd sell me the domain for $20,000. And I'm just not going to take that out of my budget for domain name.
So in this particular sense, like, do you think, because right now there are too many, like earlier there was only .com or .co or something was there, but now we have too many options in that. Like, people are going into IO, or many others are there like .work or something like that. So does these extra extensions really help people to, like, just leave that .com if it is not available and switch to other one, and they can do their business in the same name? Does this help in that sense?
So personally, I'd say always try and get a .com or a .net simply because that's what people are used to. But if you are going for like if you're let's say an AI research company, you can get a .ai, which it's fitting, and you can get creative with that.
Okay. So, like, if it suits your business, then that particular thing can also make more sense, right?
Yes, but other than that, I'd say try and avoid it and go with a .com or .net.
.com or .net, in that way, then that totally makes sense in that. So now we are actually in the last segment where we would like to know more about you as a personally and try to understand how the things and the flows are going on. So overall, what thing keep you motivated and inspired for your work? Like, what is something you take as an inspiration and keep going as a fuel for you right now?
So every morning, I take a step back and I plan out my entire day by deliverables. And I have a whiteboard spanning the majority of my wall, and I have all the times broken down in 30-minute intervals from 6 a.m. to midnight. And then I block off time for each task I have that day. And what this does is by putting it in writing, saying that you're going to be doing this task at this time, it's similar to like signing a contract with yourself saying, I am going to be doing this. And that belief that you're going to do something, it's motivating in itself and it encourages you to actually do it. So, what I do, I have it set up in 30-minute intervals because there are studies that show that breaking your day down into 30-minute intervals increases your productivity significantly.
Definitely. Pomegranate effect is also there, something I studied that also say, like, you divide it into 30 minutes and then take a break of 10 minutes and 30 minutes, something like that. You plan it out, or how you do it out?
So, I do it similar to that. I generally plan my deliverables in 2-hour sessions. So, let's say I'll spend 2 hours on one task, and depending on what time it is, I might do another small task after that and then take a break. But what I try and make sure I do, I don't want to be working on the same task for more than 2 hours because then you can learn to, or you can get burnt out and then the rest of your day is shot.
Definitely. So, like as you manage your whole day into these particular different tasks around or something like that. So, does it include like in the same day you have all the tasks like managing a team, doing some marketing, deciding some decision, or you keep a day to day, like today is a technical day or tomorrow is for marketing, or how you divide your whole week in that sense?
So I don't have a specific day to do a specific task. I do have a monthly calendar, which I have a very, very high level, like I want to have this done by this date and stuff like that. But based on my timeline for the day, it's basically a brainstorming session in the morning of what do I need to get done? What do I need to do to best support my business?
Definitely. So, do like how you consult? Like, do you consult to yourself, or like you have some good team members whom you consult some critical things, and like, are you the self decision maker, or you need someone to consult and discuss and work it out? How you take it up from that?
Um, it's usually just my personal time just to get my day organized, since if you're not organized at the start, then you're not going to be as productive as you can be.
That is good to know. Like, first we have to organize, and then we have to work our use our time in more best way to work around and set up on it, and that is good setup we can do it around. So
Yeah.
overall, with this, I'm just at my last question to get around. Like, what are your future targets and goals? Looking at like how what you want to achieve, and did you made any plan on it?
So right now my vision for Hostimus is to be a one-stop shop for anyone to get the business support they need. So right now we have offerings like VPN, hosting, website development services, but we want to introduce services like marketing, or we'd like to offer complementary business services. Like, let's say a client of ours is working on a business plan, we want to be able to help them and give them all the resources they need to be successful.
That is really good to, and actually, if you give everything at one place, then definitely it is easy for them to not only just run the hosting but do rest all things on that sense, and this make things very better for them.
Yeah.
Definitely, it was great. So, frankly, from my listeners and from our whole team, I would really like to thank you for your time and really giving a good insights about hosting, automation, and the key thing which which we learned today is something like how we keep ourselves running, how we manage ourselves, as well as keep learning new thing is very important for our business. And as our listener will definitely identify, if you want to go into some competitive world or something like the hosting which itself is a competitive business, then automation can be a good key, or it can be a good way to save the cost as well as good new services and market new people on that. So that is something on around. So with this I will really like to thank you. Anything you want to tell to our listeners or audience from your side on that?
Yeah, back to what you just mentioned about the automation. I just like to stress that a little bit more. Innovation is what businesses are built on. At least in this day and age, you need to innovate to compete. So recently, I've been reading this book called The Automation Advantage, and it basically goes through how you can set up automation. It's not a super technical book, but it explains how different companies have used automation, how they've used artificial intelligence, and it's a truly insightful book.
So that is really a good insight you have given. Like if someone want to do the any business, not only the hosting business but any business, but they should keep an eye on automation and they should definitely work on the setup and work around. So
Exactly.
thanks. And with this, I would really like to thank you for your time. And we have really enjoyed that, and would definitely looking forward to have such a healthy conversation in future together with you all.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for that.